What's up, y'all? It's your boy, TheTalkWithJ. Welcome back to another video. And today is a very special video. In honor of Heart Month, we will be doing a very special interview with someone that lives with an autoimmune disease plus a heart disease. And as you can see, she is right next to me. She will introduce herself in a second, but before I begin, make sure you like, subscribe, and as I always say, whatever y'all accomplish today, I hope y'all accomplish with vigorous goal and lots of love. Know that you love. Now the person sitting next to me, her name is Shelly Ramirez, and to not take away all of her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Shelly Ramirez, and Jonathan here is my little brother. I have known him for 5 years. So I guess I can honestly say he is a brother to me. It's been a privilege to know him, to have known him and his family for the last 5 years, and he and his family have been a blessing to me. Yes, Jonathan, I do live with an autoimmune disease. It's called lupus erythematosus, and it's in a very high number, diagnosed recently within the last 10 years among women mostly. Most of the times we don't know that we have an autoimmune disease and until we get blood tests, and sometimes, most of the times when it's almost settle in with the body, as I would say, that's when we would find out most of the times. So yes, it's been a challenge. I have had lupus for the past 14 years, I would say, this year. And for many folks, they have lupus nephritis. I have lupus cardiomyopathy, which is heart disease. So yes, it's been a struggle, but I am happy to say that I am stable, in remission with medication, immunosuppressants, and I thank God for a very wonderful team of rheumatology with NYU Langone. I'm very grateful, very happy with all the work, all the research, and all the plans that are keeping me going each day.
So yes, what I would like to know is, how did you first, how did you become aware of your autoimmune disease?
Yes, that was kind of scary. Being a nurse, deep in my career, working and suffering so much of burnouts. I literally found out when it was almost into its first stages, when I had the first heart attack in 2019. That was when I found out that I had lupus. I didn't even know what it was. I'd never heard of it, because it's something that doesn't really show itself. It doesn't show much changes unless you are really fatigued, really suffering with swelling in the joints and a whole lot of muscular deterioration in the body. Um, I think it was during a blood test, when I was in the hospital, the doctor came to me and he said, have you ever heard about lupus? And I said, no, I've never heard about it. And so that's when I found out that I had lupus. And he said to me, don't worry, there's innovative treatments and there's a whole bunch of other, remedies you can try. And so for me, it was strange. It was a strange diagnosis. I wasn't accepting to it. I said, me? No, I'm a nurse. I'm busy. I have work to do. I have so many patients to take care of. But over the time, I realized if I'm not good to me and I don't find out what's going on with me, I wouldn't know how to care for others and to even share with others what I am going through. So yes, it was during a simple blood test, where they check the ANA factors to see if it's either positive or negative. So that's how I learned and I found out about it.
So, as you stated previously, a second ago, you weren't accepting of your disease when you first found out. What was your coping mechanisms when you first found out?
When I found out, I said to myself, I need to do some research. I started to do some like what we call intern, volunteer intern with Robert Wood Johnson Hospital in New Jersey. I had worked with them through the VNA. And our coping mechanisms as nurses is that we try like different classes. We try to visit different programs within the community. We try to be part of different groups that speak about it. And even though we are present in the group and in the class, we are not accepting of it because it's hard to tell someone who have such a busy, active life in the community that they cannot have that kind of active life for a long time. So my coping mechanisms were to visit a lot of outreach programs, a lot of workshops within the hospital, and even where I worked, St. Peter's University Hospital as well. They had a program that they educated the women who were tested positive for lupus. So it wasn't only myself, but there were other women who were looking for that coping way peacefully without being stigmatized. So workshops pretty much was what worked for me and helped me come to some sort of a realization. Once you begin to research what's happening with you, it brings you peace and it encourages you to see what's out there, learn about the sufferings of others, the struggles that they go through, and somehow along that way, it brings you some small coping mechanism strategy that you eventually, come up with.
Okay, you said you your coping your coping mechanisms was programs. I want to get into what was your one favorite program that you enjoyed that really helped you fully fully cope and fully like be alright. I may have this disease, but I'm good. I'll push through it.
I'm glad that you asked that, Jonathan, because every time I'm asked that question, I smile because one of the most beautiful things is that when I found out that I had lupus, I know as a nurse that I needed to make so many changes with my lifestyle. And the first thing that I was recommended to attend to was nutrition class. And I think the most beautiful thing when you have an autoimmune disease is meal planning. You're always worried what you're going to eat, what not to eat, and what you should eat. And so the most beautiful thing for me was to go to nutrition class, which was with St. Peter's University. I remember taking Peter with me, my husband, and we would go to the classes and we would sit there with the nutritionist and we would meal plan. And somehow it began to help me feel at ease because when you found out that you had an autoimmune disease and there's no cure for it, 90% of the times you lose your appetite. You don't want to eat, you don't want to do nothing, you just want to, you ball up in this little nutshell and you're like, battling with your mind and stuff. So for me, one of the most beautiful things was meal planning and attending a nutrition class and learning about the different foods, what you can eat and what you can't eat, what induces inflammation and what reduces it. So that was beautiful for me. I love that very much.
So for those out there, for some people, meal planning is a good coping mechanism.
Yes, because it encourages you and it gives you some sort of hope as well because when you started showing debilitating signs physically in the body and there's so much that you're not able to do because also with lupus I have costochondritis, which is chest walls inflammation and fibromyalgia as well. And so when you know your mobility is threatened in some way, the first thing that comes to your mind is what are you going to eat tomorrow? What you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. And so with whatever little mobility one has, they try to utilize it to meal plan or do something good or to take a day trip or visit somewhere. You don't want to think about what you're going through. You just want to think about what you can eat, what's good for you, what's healthy. And so I kind of like that. It kept me going and I get to meet other folks as well that are going through the same thing and they don't want to meal plan and learn but somehow you kind of settle in with it and you get to roll with it little by little.
Okay, so now that we covered your reaction to you learning about this autoimmune disease you have, what I want to know is, what was your family's reaction, or did that even cross your mind? Tell your loved ones. You mentioned your husband, brother Peter. How did he or your family take it, or did you even tell them at first that you had this disease?
Good question, because I have never heard of this disease, and by the time I began to research myself, I realized that I had a family tree quite big, quite existing out there, and half of them were doctors, and they were researching our genetics and our family lineage of flaws. So that made me so comfortable to let my husband know, this is what's going on with me. I mean, it took me some years to tell my family because my parents, they come from old school gen, and so they're not accepting to autoimmune flaws. Their thing is, what? Never heard of that, Jonathan. Don't even know what that is. And so 5 years later, I decided to tell my parents, and in that 5 years time, I think I had already had 2 heart attacks. So in 2021 in March, when I suffered the second heart attack, I remember being at St. Peter's University Hospital, and they said to me, well, we're going to catheterize you to see what's going on up in the heart. And I said to my husband, I said, I think it's time to let mom and dad know what is really going on. And so I came clean with them and I let them know. And yes, it was shocking for them at first. They'd never heard of it. They started to research and they started to blame themselves in some way, like, oh, maybe I gave it to you, but you don't have it. It's kind of something that skips within the generation, and not everybody is going to have it. My parents don't have lupus, my siblings don't have lupus, but my extended family, they are traits of it and other autoimmune flaws. So I was happy they were accepting of it, and they began to research it to understand it.
That's good. And while you've been on this medical journey for the past couple years that you've figured out you had this disease, how have you seen your your growth as a person? Have you realized you become older and wiser, as they say? Has it made you aware of yourself and what you like and what you don't like?
Yes, absolutely. Um, as I mentioned to you, I was kind of like in the middle of my nursing career. I had been a nurse for 21 years total, and I believe that um, if something didn't stop me, I was probably going to burn myself down to the ground because I love what I did. I love my patients very much. It brought me so much joy to go in the office in the morning and handle their business, whatever that may be. I took pleasure and joy in what I did to help the people in the community, and half the times, my breakfast would still be there at dinner time. Um, Many days I don't eat 2 or 3 meals, and I try to make up for that in the evening when I'm home with my husband. And it's kind of sad sometimes when I look at how hectic life was for me and how much joy I put into what I did because I love it. And here I am coming to a point where I need to simmer down and accept what's happening with me and try to plan my life around that. So that has definitely brought me down from a level where I was to a much calmer, peaceful, relaxed, growing level. I have learned so much. Yes, I feel like I have grown so much. I feel like there's so much that I've learned about what I'm experiencing, and I'm happy to share it with others. So um, it's been a very good place where I'm at now over the years.
Okay, so so you've also recently found 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 the Lord Jesus Christ. Will you tell us, number one, how you became a Christian, and number two, what has it been like on this Christian journey so far?
Oh, this is so beautiful. I remember right after, well, after the course of the first heart attack in 2019, my husband and I, we were church searching. We were visiting different churches in New Jersey. We felt the calling to serve in community life, but we weren't sure which church to fit in. So we were kind of like in a church searching phase. And I remember by the time the second heart attack happened in 2021, we had found a church. We had just beginning to, settle in, but not quite at home. I feel like there was something else I was looking for. I needed a more deeper connection. So what I did was I started to Zoom church with Agape. I think it was a special day for Agape, and my mom sent me the link, and she said, "Hey, we're gonna have a lot of music and singing and preaching. So why don't you come on board and see what's happening on this side of New York?" And I would honestly say it was that one invitation that I went online, and then became a every Saturday thing. I fell in love with Agape. I honestly did, from a distance. And even though I was in New Jersey and still in occupational therapy and physical therapy, trying to get back on my feet, learning to walk, learning to get by, learning to be independent, I remember it brought me so much joy. And so by the time 2021 spring came, I knew in my heart Agape was it for me. And Peter, my husband, I knew that we needed to be with this church, be with the people that prayed for me, be with the people that prayed for us, be with the people that constantly check in. And when you come online to the Zoom platform, you're always so happy. And I was so happy and always so excited. And I remember the pastor, one day he got on the Zoom platform and he said, "Hey, who's that lovely couple all the way over there in New Jersey? We need to meet them." And Jonathan, I took that very seriously. As you can see, I said, "You know what? I think I found where I need to be. I think I found a church." And so 2021 spring, I made the decision with Peter and I said, "Hey, let's go to New York." It was post pandemic. And we had lost a lot of family members as well during the COVID pandemic. And so whatever little bit and few we had remaining, I said to my husband, "Let's go be with them. Let's serve God among them. Let's go to a church that we feel comfortable, we feel loved, we feel prayed for, we feel cared for." And so since spring of 2021, I made that commitment to serve in the church. I was happy to be baptized, be married, and here I am, 5 years growing into that. And it has been the greatest joy of my life to serve God in a church where I actually fit in. I love it. I love my relationship with Him. I love what He's doing in my life. I think if I had not found God and if I had not had that hope to serve or to give back in the community, I think I would have allowed my disease to take over, and I was not going to let it take over. I was determined to get back on my feet, and serve and come and have a church life and meet all you wonderful people that I see on the Zoom platform all the time. But it was a more deeper, happy feeling for me. I wanted that personal experience with God. I had a feeling He had something to say to me, so I'm listening, and it's been good. It's been a great journey. I enjoy every minute of it. I don't even think about what I cannot do, or what I used to do, or what I think I can do. With Him, I just allow Him to lead.
Okay, so final question in closing. What do you say to all those people that are maybe watching this right now and that feel alone and burdened with their health issues, whether it be autoimmune or physical or mental? What's your final message to the people?
I would say, we live in a very cruel world. It does not care what we endure. So we have to care about what we endure. And half the times we are alone. Half the times we feel there's no hope. And most of the times we feel that we may never overcome. But I would like you to know that I overcame 2 heart attacks. And even though I live with cardiomyopathy with my lupus, I have many days where I am challenged, but I would encourage you to never ever allow it to defer you from feeling and experiencing who you truly are. Find that inner happiness in you, that inner joy in you, and tell yourself that you can do this, whatever it may be. Assure yourself that you're not alone, because you're not alone. There's so many innovative classes and help and so much information and knowledge around that we just need to tap into it. And even though I have days, even though I am married and I have a very wonderful relationship and a church life, very active, I do have some days where I want to be alone with God. I want to have that alone time with him just so I can thank him for being with me. So you're not alone. The Father who created you is always with you, and he will never ever leave your side. So don't leave him. Have hope that you will be all right. And as far as depression and anxiety are concerned, yes, I do battle that daily as well, because I learned during my journey that even with an autoimmune disease, we do endure depression and anxiety. I have many days like that. I have many days where I feel depressed or I feel anxious and I'm worried, but it goes away really fast. I promise you, if you find something that makes you happy and you do it, like for me, cooking is my to-go, reading is my to-go, and just the inner desire to give back. Teach someone what you're going through. Share what you're going through. Don't be scared. This world we live in, it's not scared of us. It's beating us down every day in every areas, but we cannot allow it. Find that happiness. Find something that makes you happy. And I promise you, mental health will get better. It will. You just have to tell yourself that. I know some days it's hard. You know, some folks will say, easier said than done, Shelly. But hey, I've been living with it for 14 years, and I'm happy I have a therapist weekly. It brings me happiness, and I look forward to talking with her and just sharing with her. So as far as mental health and handling what you go through with an autoimmune disease or physically challenged, I have all of that, but I don't allow it to take over my life. My life is for me to live it. It's not for my husband to live it or my son to live it. It's for me to live it. And I'm so grateful that God tapered me down in some way so I can focus on me, so I can love me. Because I had been loving the community and all the folks that I have cared for so many years, so long and so hard. And so I'm doing it for me. So I honestly want to encourage you, find that comfortable spot in your life, you know, and find that happiness, because only you can do it. Someone cannot do it for you. I have a beautiful relationship, married to a wonderful guy, but I need to find that for me. And I'm happy that I do. It's a challenge, but I do.
All right, everybody. Hopefully y'all were well informed about people with autoimmune disease. And Shelly, I want to thank you for coming on. And hopefully, if y'all like the video, maybe I'll have her on for a part 2. Who knows? But anyway, hope y'all like and subscribe. Peace and much love, and see y'all boys soon with another video. Peace.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much.